Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Hey guys, welcome to Don't Fret Friday, the show
Whoa.
where we spaghetti and we do our best to give you the best kind of advice that we have. But really, a lot of times you guys already know spaghetti, the way out of the scenarios. But um, you know, we're here to talk about that, whatever that might be. So if you didn't quite catch that, you can just kind of count on Princess to spaghetti, and you'll be fine. So. What do you say we hop into the first question?
Oh my.
Just spaghetti through that real quick. Welcome to Adult Friday, guys. This is the show where we talk about whatever is on your mind, whatever concerns you have. We are not professionals, obviously. You can
Obviously.
and um, yeah, science. You have one. Do you first?
We do actually have a
Jose's
cue. Jose is here.
Yeah. The site might not be up, but we have Jose, we have science. Can I have spaghetti? Is that your question? Yeah,
You
if you have
can. All you have to do is make it.
oh. Or ask somebody to make it for you and have
Yes.
them make it. Yeah. Um,
See, this is the thing. You guys are so nice.
yeah, you guys are awesome. I'm not saying I just want to say I love you. I love you too, Kay. You're awesome.
Yes, Kay. Great to see you.
Jose wants to make spaghetti. You can blame Jesse for all the spaghetti. That was Jesse's fault.
Yeah. Jesse, our illustrious producer.
Yes. Thanks for being here with us, guys, today. Again, the website is down, so we don't have access to the backlog, but we have a little bit of backlog from the last time we streamed. We have Jose's question, as well as a few personal ones through Discord and the website. Or sorry, not the website, email.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be good. We have some. But of course, if you guys have anything you want to talk about in chat, feel free to do so. And, as a friend, we'll talk about whatever that is and try to encourage you and maybe give you a little perspective as usual. But yeah. How you guys doing tonight? Sorry for starting so late. Just kind of happens sometimes. People have other activities going on, so.
Yes. That would be my apologies.
Mm-hmm.
It was a martial arts evening. Things ought to be chilling out a little bit now for a while. We just had a whole string of tests for martial arts. So
yeah.
Yep.
That's okay.
But it was good. It was good and exhausting and everything.
I bet. Sometimes exhausting is good. Most of the time, exhausting is good.
Mm-hmm.
Means you're doing stuff. Lots of good stuff.
Yep. But I was super proud of everybody there. Everybody really worked hard. So it was cool.
Good. You're cool. No, that is really cool though. It's good to see everybody else working hard too. It's kind of one of those things, like if you get an environment where everybody's working hard, it makes it a lot easier to work hard yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Spaghetti. All right. Anyhow. Yeah. All right. Let's hop right into it, right? How's that sound? Jose, how's it going? So Jose asks this. Actually, science has one as well, but
and it looks like Amira. Amira's here, and I imagine Amira might have something to talk about too. So Amira, if you want to go ahead and post it in the chat, what's going on, we'd be happy to discuss that too.
So. Yeah. Wait, so science apparently does have one? Did we do this last time?
Science says he did, and then I don't think he did.
Yeah, we did that. Patience. Yeah, that was patience. Yeah, we did that last time.
Okay.
Yeah, and his was spaghetti. Okay. So Jose asks or comments this. Guys, I don't know how to feel about today. Today was the last day of school, and I tried hugging the girl I liked since she's going to a different high school. I asked 3 times and she denied every single time. But since today was the last day, I went out with a group of friends to the park and I tried to play and get it out of my mind, but it's been stuck since it happened. In a way, I'm happy I asked, but sad that she said no. But yet, I went outside to play and have fun, so I'm confused and tangled with my emotions.
Mm.
That's from Jose. And yeah, he continued to say that she hugged everybody except for Jose, um, meaning like lots of different class members and friends and acquaintances and stuff like that. And she just did not want to hug Jose for some reason.
Mhm.
So I can understand being emotionally um, I don't know, upset by something like that. It doesn't feel good to be the outcast and the only one that is not being shown any sort of affection towards, or you know, being being kind of singled out in a bad way, things like that. Um, especially for someone that you really like. So there's a couple of different things that could be going on here between you and this person. It could be a couple of different reasons why they didn't want to hug you, and so maybe Joe can shed some light on the different, maybe a few reasons and his perspective on it, and maybe help give you some strength to continue on.
Yeah. Well, I can totally understand. It can be tough, especially if you really like this person,
Mhm.
and then you get denied. And it looks like there was some the yeah, I think I remember there was some expansion on this that didn't actually make it to the Discord. Uh,
Mhm.
but I think if I remember correctly, Jose, confirm or correct me on this if you would. But I think also she hugged a lot of people there, that were there at that time, but then not Jose. So there were other people getting hugs from this person, and then when Jose asked, she said no. So it's really interesting. We as people, it's not, it's crazy. Okay, yes, this is true. All right. Um, First of all, Jose, I'm really sorry that you got to go through this. This is not an easy thing, and I understand the emotional turmoil that could be going on. You're second guessing yourself. There could be all kinds of stuff just going on. Either you're happy and down, and everything kind of, it can just be like this mixture of stuff, right? Okay. She also hugged my two best friends, and then I asked, and she said no. So, yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. I have definitely experienced a fair amount of rejection in my life, and I remember this one particular. This isn't quite the same as hugging. There was no hugging involved in this particular scenario, but I remember I grew up with this girl, and I remember, you know, it's weird. You grow up with someone and you're in elementary school and everything's fine and everybody's friends and all that kind of stuff. And then it seems like as you get to middle school, things get a little bit more complicated, and then in high school, more complicated and everything. And I remember kind of in this same transition where it was like kind of between middle school and high school. So we were like eighth, ninth grade, somewhere in there, and we were on the bus, and this girl, she asked, I had some like snack food or whatever, and she asked if she could have some. And I didn't have very much, and I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to share it. And she goes, "Can I have some of that?" And I'm looking down at it, and I looked up at her, and then she says, "I'll be your friend."
You're like, we're already friends.
And I'm like, and I'm sitting there I'm like, "Aren't we already friends?" And then after that moment, we were no longer friends. I didn't share my stuff with her because I was like, "What? No." And I can remember there was another person that just used me to get stuff. There was like this secret Santa thing, and we found out I was this person's secret Santa and whatever, and like there was all this stuff going on, and she totally played me like she was like she liked me and everything just to get stuff. And then she totally just dropped me, you know.
Oh,
I was
oh.
super gullible for a lot of my life. So, yeah, I think, you know, interestingly enough, in this situation, I look at your situation here, Jose, and I wonder if the reason she didn't hug you was because you asked. Because sometimes for hugs, sometimes the best thing to do is just walk up to someone with your arms out and expect that they're going to hug you. And a lot of times that's just kind of how it goes, you know. That you just hug, you know, it's kind of like it's something you don't even have to ask for. Now, I understand the nervousness. If you really like this girl, I understand that you would be nervous about it, and so you'd want to ask. But at the same time, you know, sometimes it's just better to move in and just arms out. And here's the caveat though, because if they deny the hug, then it's really weird. But as Ryan always says, embrace the awkward. So I know you can't go back in time and change your actions on this. You can't go back and say, well, I'm going to do this differently. But you can look to the future and say, you know what? I maybe the way I approached this was wrong. I mean, you may have approached it with a spirit of timidity. I wasn't there, so you might have been a little bit timid as you went through. And that could have just, you know, nope, I don't really want to hug then, you know, possibly. So um it's it's a weird thing, and there are so many things that could have been the case in this situation, and so I don't want to do too much speculating. But yeah, sometimes the best way to get a hug from someone is to just walk up to them with your arms out, and then, you know, most of the time they'll hug. Oh, Jose says my other two friends asked as well. Okay, so that definitely can hurt even more if you did the same thing that they did and she gave them hugs and then she didn't give you a hug. That definitely can hurt a lot. And yeah, it kind of jabs you right in the heart, you know, where it's like, ugh. So I don't know. But at the same time, I will say this one thing that people have said to me many times, because I have had a tendency to hold on to things and let my emotions just drag me down into the pits a lot of times. And the words that have always helped me is this too shall pass. Those four simple words. What you're going through right now, it's not going to last forever. The feelings you have right now, they're not going to last forever. And in fact, they can be useful if you learn something in the process. I'm not sure the lessons that you can take from this. There are a few probably, but I think if you can remember that, you know, this isn't going to last forever. You're going to feel right again soon. This emotional roller coaster is going to be over. And if what happened here causes you to modify your actions a little bit and causes you to grow as an individual, then it can be useful. So I'm gonna leave it at that for now and turn it over to Ryan and let him run with it for a while. So
Sure.
Ryan?
Yeah. Basically, I kind of would say the same thing about Joe. As Joe said, you don't know what necessarily is going on in her head. It could be that it was just a joke for her and that was her having fun. It's very possible. You know, your friend asks and then she says yes, then you ask and she's like, why don't I just say no? That'll be really weird for him. Like, and then he won't like, and then your next friend asks and she says yes. And it's like, it's just you, right? Or maybe you're the last person to ask, or maybe you're the first person to ask. But either way, she's like, no, I'm not gonna give you a hug, and then it's just you. And it could be because she feels close enough to you that she can say no as a joke, like, but obviously carry through with that joke. But it could be that. It could be that she feels a certain way about you that makes it so that she doesn't want to hug you because she's shy.
Mm.
Um, it could, like, because she likes you back, or it could even be um, she heard some weird rumor about you and she's like, doesn't like you at the moment. Or maybe she's like, thinks that you like her. And so she doesn't want to mm, continue that road. So she's trying to avoid you. I mean, there's so many different things that could be the reason why. And I think the only way to get your answer is to ask her and hope she answers honestly.
Mhm.
There's a possibility you ask her and she shrugs you off, or she tells you some weird version of the story that's not true, or hopefully she tells you exactly why. I think honestly, it's one of those things, like, the only way to really figure out why is to ask her. And so if you feel like it's something that's standing between you and your relationship with the person, you know it's something that makes it so the relationship isn't um, the as good as it should be. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are her significant other or anything like that, but more so just if there's something getting in the way of your friendship like this, if this pain, is making you feel um, separated from them, or like you can't speak with them or whatever, I think it would be good to talk to them about it and ask them and say, hey, everyone was hugging you and you didn't let me hug you, and I was just kind of confused as to what was going on there. Or, you know, did I do something wrong? Type of deal or whatever. I think assuming that you did something wrong is probably uh, usually a good way to go about it, because then you put the pressure on yourself and not on them. You can say, I think that's important a lot of times. And if you're going to ask somebody something, you can say like, "Hey, so I think I probably did something to hurt you or something, and I'm really sorry. I know that when I asked you to give me a hug, you didn't want one from me, and so I figured I must have done something wrong. So, um, yeah, sorry. Um, what was it? Why did you not want to give me a hug? Like, what did I do?" That sort of attitude will help keep, like I said, keep the pressure off her, and doesn't make her in a position where she's wrong. It assumes that you're wrong so that she doesn't have to feel like you're attacking her. You know,
Mhm.
Because if you point out like, "Hey, you didn't hug me when I asked, but you hugged everybody else. So like, what's your problem?" You know, if you say something like that, then she's not gonna be wanting to be your friend for very long. You know. Um, he said, I was gonna ask her, but I'm kind of afraid for like our friendship ending." Okay. I still talk to her and she still answers me. Okay, cool. Yeah. Um, Yeah. So yeah, it's important to way you phrase things, but yeah, I would just ask her about it, because I mean, what else are you gonna do? I guess the only other option is to just let it pass. Either way, it's gonna pass.
Mhm.
Sometimes some things don't matter. Like sometimes people wrong you, right? I mean, in life, all of our friends at some point probably do something that we don't like. They
Mhm.
probably say something that makes us feel bad. Um, that makes
Except
us
for
feel.
Ryan. Ryan doesn't ever do that.
I do it to myself all the time. What are you talking about? Um, no. um, but so at some point, every friendship has a trial, right? That's the beautiful thing about friendship, is that, you know, at the end of the day, you're still friends, right? And you can let those things pass. If you have a friendship where, obviously this isn't the case, but if you had a friendship where you were not willing to forgive somebody, then you wouldn't have a friend for very long, because at some point they're going to do something and you're going to hold that grudge against them forever. You're not going to have a person as a friend, because then you're not on their side. You're kind of standing against them. You're holding something against them that they did, right? And so, in order to be a good friend, you have to forgive. So you don't hold those things against them. So you can be on their side. So you can root for them and try to help them become the best version of themselves. Um, so in this case, you can ask them, or you can just let it go and say, you know what, that person did that. I don't know why they did it. Was it right? Was it wrong? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, I felt pain, but that pain was inside me. So you know what? I'll just let it go. I'm sure their intention wasn't to hurt me. And even if it was, we all make stupid mistakes sometime. We all have bad intentions every once in a while, right? And so I forgive them and just let's move on. And you don't have to forgive them to their face. You don't have to let them know that you're forgiving them. You can just say to yourself, like, hey, you know what? I'm going to let it go. That was just one time in the past. And, I'm just going to continue forward from here so I can make the best of this relationship I have with them and, um, and stop my, and hopefully move on from the pain that I've experienced. Right. There's probably a lesson in this. I don't know what it is for you, but somewhere along the line here, you're going to learn something through this experience, and you can always look forward to that. Um, and that's really also another very beautiful thing about life. That's a um, interesting law of reality is that through pain, through these trials, um, whenever something what we call bad happens, good can come from it.
Mhm.
A lot of times, everything happens for a reason, always. If you don't think that's true, then you don't agree with science or any physics or and math or anything. Everything happens for a reason, period. And that includes the things that go on in our lives. Um, there's a reason people do certain things. And then out of that, you can find reasons that lead you to more growth as a human being. And I think that's again, a wonderful thing. And so if we keep that in our minds, it makes it a lot easier to go through something like this, right? Now, whatever they did to you, that wasn't right. It wasn't happy, it wasn't pleasant, right? And now you experience this inner turmoil because they kind of singled you out and they rejected you, I guess, and it doesn't feel good. But at the same time, maybe it'll bring you strength within so that you can experience rejection in the future and not feel down about it, and you can feel more proud of yourself, because whether people reject you or not, you're still you, right? Whether other people accept you or not, you're still you. Whether other people love you or not, you're still you, and your value is the same, your dignity is the same, everything about you is the same. And so it doesn't matter what other people think a lot of times. It doesn't matter how people treat us exactly, whether their opinions are of romance or of friendship or of enemyship. Is that a word? But yeah, um,
It is now.
it is now. Um, but yeah, it doesn't matter because you're still you, right? Whatever they think of you doesn't actually change you. Um, and their opinion of you is not necessarily fully formed, right? It's just some arbitrary opinion that isn't based on the facts, isn't based on complete logic, because I mean, they don't even know you completely. They don't know your entire life. Who does? You don't even know that. You don't even know your entire life. Like you know. But yeah, it's one of those things that hopefully you can come out of this a stronger individual, and more capable of um, accepting rejection. Because in life, there's a lot of things that you'll get rejected from, whether it be relationships or toys, material goods, money, um, time, uh, talent, all sorts of stuff, right? There's all sorts of stuff in life that will not go your way. And I think peace and peace in large part, peace is having a sense of general satisfaction, right? You're okay with everything and how it is, right? You're at peace. And peacefulness requires a I guess gentle, but it requires fortitude against rejection, because in life you won't get everything the way you want it. In fact, in life, most of the time things don't work out the way you want.
Mhm.
But peace is knowing that's okay, and that doesn't matter because the end game is still the same, and the plan is still the same, the path is still the same, regardless of um, whatever happens along the way. So, um, yeah, maybe this is a trial for you to build up your own strength within, or maybe it's something completely different. But I guess that's for you to find out, and that's cool. Anyways, I'm gonna give it back over to Joe.
I love what you were saying there, Ryan. It gave me a little perspective on some of the stuff that I'm facing right now too, where it's like, hey, sometimes things are hard because it's supposed to build you,
Hmm.
and we all, everybody has stuff they go through that's difficult. Even people, they might look like they have it all together, and they've got a really nice house, and they've got nice cars, or whatever. They've got seemingly their life all put together. And they've got challenges just like us, just like everybody. Everybody does. And it's just different things. And as you go through those, they're there to help build you. And I also love what Ryan was saying when Ryan was talking about you know all the different things that we can feel are important in our life, like whether it's material goods or money, or even certain relationships with people. you know I would venture to say that relationships are about, they're one of the more important things on the scale, because then we're dealing with human beings, and the
Mm.
impact we have with others is, I mean, that's what really matters. you know it's how we love other people. And but as far as material goods and all that kind of stuff, I heard there was a philosopher. Hmm, his he escapes me at this certain point, but I heard a guy talking one time, and he had gone through this whole thing. He had gotten super successful, in a lot of different ways. He was a speaker, and he was an author, and he had, gained a lot of success. And then at one point in his life, he was getting older, and he just decided to basically sell everything he had. He had had all kinds of material success, and he just started selling it all and getting rid of it all.
Hmm.
Getting rid of it all. He just started simplifying his life and letting go of all the things, because a lot of times that stuff just clutters us. It clutters up our life, and it slows us down, and it just causes more confusion. And it's not necessarily the same as dealing with relationship type issues. But in this case, Jose, you're still speaking with this person, so that's really awesome. So the relationship is still there. And um but this is just speaking to the whole thing of Ryan's, you know talking of what we feel like is important in our lives. And being sometimes having to let go of those things is one of the best things that can happen to us. you know it can be amazing, because then when you are separated from those things, you're actually more free,
Hmm.
because everything that comes into our life actually kind of binds us a little bit. Even relationships. I mean, I'm married. My relationship with my wife is quite binding.
Absolutely, yes.
It's a binding relationship, right? So there are many things that, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy for it being there because, we've got two wonderful kids and, everything, and it's awesome because, there's a whole dimension of life in there that I never would have had otherwise. But it also is a little bit less free. Like I can't just go and do everything I would like to do on a whim because I have responsibility there. And it's the same with anything. Anything that comes into your life, you have kind of a responsibility for it. So when stuff leaves your life, you actually become more free. And I don't know what all this may have to pertain to your situation, but for some reason it came out.
Nice.
And I would look up, if you could, I don't know your religious affiliation, Jose, but there is a prayer of Saint Teresa of Avila. It says, "Let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you. All things are passing away. God never changes. Whoever has God lacks nothing. Patience obtains all things." And I know I said some of those things out of order, but those were some of the main things that I could remember.
That's pretty good.
But the first three lines really impacted me. Let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you. All things are passing away. Just right there, whenever I remember to say those lines to myself, it puts me at such peace knowing that everything that's happening, I'm not going to have to deal with it forever. Bad feelings that I'm having. Princess, thank you. Princess posted it right there. But those first three lines, let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you, all things are passing away. That helps me so much to remember, no matter what I'm going through, I'm going through it. And there's going to be a time when I'm outside of it. If it's really, really hard, I know it's going to be over. There was a portion of our martial arts test tonight that was really, really hard. And I was like, this is going to be over in about 5 minutes because they timed it. And they said they gave us 5 minutes. And it was really, really hard. And I was like, okay, it's going to be over in less than 5 minutes.
Mm.
So all things are passing away. So Jose, I hope that was helpful for you. I'm gonna send it back to Ryan to wrap it up.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot more to add. I guess the one last thing I would say is um whenever I feel an emotion like that's sorrowful or whatever gets me down, I always do a little bit of introspection. I always look at myself and ask a few questions. If it was me in this scenario, I would be like, okay, I'm upset because I tried to give them a hug or I asked them for a hug and they said no to me. Well, I'm not asking why does that upset me, but rather, I guess I am. I guess, why does that upset me, right? But does that matter? Um, so it upsets me because I wanted to hug them. Or is it that it upsets me because I wanted something special from them? Whether it was a hug or a gift or whatever. I wanted something with them in particular. But that's about me, right? That's not about them, right? If I wanted to give them a hug, right? And they denied it, that's okay. That wouldn't affect me. But because I wanted a hug back, that's why it hurts. I think a lot of times I run myself through that because that helps me to understand that I'm holding myself back and I'm holding myself down and I need to just let go. I just need to free myself from that. And you know, if I you know, it's like one of those things where I caught myself doing this in the past. I told a girl, "Hey, I love you," and then when they didn't say I love you back, I was it's like they didn't say I love you back. Like, ow, what's ow? They've said I love you back before, but now they're not saying like, ow, what's wrong? Like, what did I do? I didn't say anything to them, but I felt that pain, right?
Mhm.
And when I inspected myself more, I realized the reason I felt that pain wasn't because they weren't accepting my love. I was allowed to tell them I love them. The whole point of me saying that I love you to somebody should be for their benefit. But instead, I was impacted when they didn't respond. What
Mm.
that tells me is that what I'm actually upset about is that they didn't tell me they loved me back, right? Rather, ultimately, what I'm upset about is I didn't get what I wanted, or even worse, I said I love you as a statement, but really it was a question. I said I love you, but really all I wanted to hear was that they love me back.
Mm.
It's like,
So it was like
yeah, it was like fishing,
fishing for
right?
a
The
response.
only time I say I love you is when I actually wanted to hear them say they love me so that I could feel good.
Mm.
And that's why I said I love you. And I realized that's very wrong. I shouldn't be telling people I love them so I could hear them say it back so that I could feel good about myself. That's the opposite of love. Love is self-giving, not about me grabbing something from somebody or getting something from somebody. It's letting everything out for another person, wanting nothing in return, but just desiring to give it, right? And so I think, giving myself that talk and learning and understanding that about myself made me a lot stronger and made me start being able to say I love you for the right reasons. Um, and also in this scenario with you, it would be like giving hugs for the right reasons. Giving hugs because I want them to feel good, or I want to show my affection for them and make them feel loved through my hug, make them feel appreciated, not so that I could get something out of there. It's not so that they could be hugging me and make me feel good about myself, you know? Um, and so I know that's kind of harsh, I guess. um, but that's kind of how um, I've had to walk myself through a lot of my pain.
Mm.
A lot of times when I feel pain, I realize it's me causing pain to myself because of my misunderstanding about love. A lot of times when it comes to relationships and I feel pain, it's because I'm misunderstanding the relationship and my role in it.
Mm.
I'm having a wrong sense. I'm being selfish, or I misunderstand what it means to be a friend, or to what it means to love, or what it means, um, you know, whatever. My understandings of things are convoluted, and then that gets pointed out to me through pain. And then I'm like, what's wrong? And then talking to myself really helps me solve that. When you don't have a viewpoint that lines up with reality, you'll always get hurt. Period. And so then we have to fix our viewpoint to line it up with truth. What is good, what is holy, what is honest, what is right. And then we can continue through life and find that next problem. But yeah, um, then we can be the someone that's responsible and capable of having a good relationship with somebody because they understand um, what that means, you know. So, anyways, um, hopefully that's helpful. But I think that's about all I've got to say. Do you have anything you want to add, or?
No, man, I loved it. I loved what you said there, and I love that.
Well, I
I
love you.
love I love you too. And oh yeah, you just said it. You weren't
Yeah, no,
fishing
no,
for the
it's good.
right
It's good.
response.
It's good.
The best kind of love is the love that is given.
Hmm.
not necessarily the love that is like received, but when you can give love, and what you were talking about was so great, because even when if you were to tell somebody you love them, even if you weren't necessarily fishing for the response, if they don't respond, it still can hurt.
Yeah, it's true. But if it does, that's when I remind myself, like, hey, you told them that because you wanted them to feel good. So you just you fix yourself right now, Ryan.
Yeah. So
type
it's
of deal.
a
And I
kind of way you can
Yeah.
slap yourself up and like,
Yeah.
get your head on straight here, Ryan.
Right.
I'm you talking to you now.
Yeah, no, that's good. Me too. No, I knew that's what you were doing. So yeah, no, that is true though. Like sometimes, in any occasion, like if I went to, I don't know, hug my mom, she's always one like that would hug. If she was like she didn't want to hug me, I would assume I would not assume something's wrong with me and her relationship with me. I would immediately just assume like, oh no, she must be sick or something. Are you okay, mom? That's basically. But if for some reason, like if I said I love you to my mom, I guess, and she was like, "Yep," and then didn't tell me, I would be like, whatever.
Meh.
She might just be having a bad day. I don't care. I told her that because I wanted her to know that, and I wanted her to feel happy. Like that's the reason I say it, right? Because I wanted them to feel good. But if it did hurt me, then yeah, I would just be like, what's your intention, Ryan? Who cares? Who cares if they say that back? The only, love is to give, not to receive. So just swallow it and go on type of deal. But anyhow, we've got other people waiting. So
You
thanks for
do,
the
Jose.
Jose.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And you got a handle on this. You're going to be just fine.
For sure. So yeah, I guess Amira has one. Yeah, is that correct?
Yep. And Amira, there are I know you have other ones. Princess said that you have other ones that are in the backlog. Unfortunately, we don't have access to it right now because the website is down. BSS.studio, it would be great to be able to go to it, but we can't.
Yeah. So this is kind of drawn out through several messages. I hope this is the start of it. I'm gonna just start reading, and hopefully this works out. Mira, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming. It reads something like this: I'm the most unlucky person on the planet. It's like I'm cursed. I started talking to my crush again and found out she was dating someone. I'm on one hand happy for her, but on the other, it hurts. Let me scroll down and find the next one. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. There's more. I know there's more. Man, I'll live. It's not like it's anything new to me. Oh, wait. There's one here. I feel like I'm being stabbed in the heart with multiple swords and forced to live through the pain. Yeah. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, but there's a little bit more when we were talking about different kinds of love and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Amira would, and Amira and I are going to be ducks together. We decided.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I would really like to be a bird that can fly and swim. I think
this is probably not the right time to say this, but why don't they make duck nuggets? That sounds so much cooler than chicken nugget. Like chicken nugget, obviously a chicken nugget. It just like comes off the tongue. But duck nugget, like you can't, like that sounds like a good thing. Humanity needs to create duck nuggets.
But we're gonna be ducks.
And you can put duck nuggets in duck sauce. and it would be great. But anyways, it's like bad timing, right? I get it. But duck nugget, like that sounds great. Also, I love you guys both, and I don't want you to be ducks because I think it's awesome that you guys are human beings. But if you want to go run off and be ducks together, I'm okay with that. I'll let you guys do that.
Yeah.
I'll still love you.
Thanks.
And I won't make duck nuggets out of you.
Yeah.
I promise.
Thank you for not making duck nuggets out of us. Yeah. So, Amira.
Amira says this as well. I'm honestly starting to think love doesn't exist. That's the lie I keep hearing. In response to love exists. It's the most unlikely. Love exists in the most unlikely of places, Mercury says, because always where you're not looking. But yeah, Mercury, thanks by the way for all your comments. You've been saying some really good stuff here.
Yeah.
When the Jose thing issue was coming up, you had some good things too. So cool. Yeah. So on with this whole thing. Thank you very much, Amir, for putting this out here for us. And we hope that we can help you through it. Maybe help guide your emotions a little bit. We know that you'll get through it, because you've been through worse. I mean, Amira, you've been through worse. It hurts though. I get it. It definitely hurts. Relationships are one of the things that pry at our hearts the most out of anything in life. And so I totally get it. And I've definitely been in a similar situation. I'm sure Joe's probably been in that situation before too. And yeah, it is painful for sure. It's one of the most painful things on your heart to go through is when you love somebody or you have a crush on somebody or whatever, and then it's taken away or you get rejected or things just don't work out. It's pretty painful. But yeah, I'm gonna let Joe take it away now.
Okay.
The duck comment made you feel a little bit better. I needed a good laugh. Thanks. Awesome. Great. That's good.
Well, I'm gonna start here, Amira. First of all, saying I am with Ryan. I understand how much this hurts, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you have to go through this pain because I have absolutely been there. And I'll tell you a little story. I was in college, and hold on. I was in college, right? And I was a percussion major in college. It was great. I loved it. And we were doing this show, right? Okay. Somehow the percussion department worked out this arrangement with the dance department, and we were going to do this string of shows together, right? And so we had all this material we were going to do. So they were going to have live musicians, which was really strange for them. They usually just had recorded music playing while they did their dance stuff. But in this case, they were going to have live musicians, like the percussion ensemble playing with them and everything. It was going to be this really cool show. And they had all this kind of stuff. This was my first experience with any type of dance production at all, right? And I remember it's like, all right, so we got to move all of our stuff. We got all these big drums and everything, right? Drums, percussion equipment is just like trip after trip after trip. And we got to go, okay, the drum department is down in the basement of the building, which is normal. It usually is. I don't know if that's because it has to be underground or if that's where they like to, stick all the drummers, down there. But anyway, so we were down in the basement, and then we had to carry all of our stuff up to the third floor where all the dance studios were, right? And so I remember we're loading all this stuff, and I had a floor tom and a whole bunch of other stuff and a bag full of gear and everything, and I'm like carrying all this stuff down the hallway, and I turned around this corner, I went to this dance studio, and this set of eyeballs met mine across the room, and it was like the world melted away. Oh, And it was this beautiful, beautiful girl that I saw in this dance studio. And I was like, oh my gosh. And our eyes met, you know, and everything. And then we ended up going through this show together. And she was actually paired up with me for, you know, going on stage and everything. And, you know, we had to go, you know, for one of the performances there. And so we were going to have to walk out one, like right next to each other, like, okay, this is your dancer, this is your percussionist. And they went down the line, and we all had like a buddy, you know, and she was my buddy. And I was like, really awesome, you know. And then like I remember there's right before this one show, you know, and we're about to go out, and she reached back and she squeezed my hand. And I was like, oh. And my heart went all like pitter patter, you know. It was amazing. So anyway, so life goes on. So there we are at this show. And then at the end of all the performances, I actually got her phone number. I never got people's phone numbers ever. And I got her phone number. And I was like, okay. So then I waited like 2 weeks probably to call, because, you know, I was scared to call her. And we didn't have, like, the internet wasn't all that big a deal yet, you know. I mean, I couldn't really email her. I think we were still in the AOL days, you know, where everybody had CDs from
What
AOL.
year was this?
What year?
Yeah, around what year?
19. That gives you a...
Yeah.
This was 1997 or 8.
Okay. Nice.
1998.
All right. They had a few things online.
Maybe 1999.
Yeah.
We're gonna party like it's 1999.
Well, if it was 1999, then they had the internet was actually starting to actually have like websites that you go to watch videos on and stuff. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, but we didn't know how to use it.
oh yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah,
Like nowadays, you actually kind of know how to use the internet. We had no idea
Yeah.
all the stuff that was possible
Yeah.
with the internet. It was all still like email, and like everything was an email. And
Yeah.
we're like, and it kind of still is that way, but we use email so much differently now. But
Yeah.
anyway, there was no social media. There was none of that yet. I mean,
Yeah.
none of it. MySpace
None.
hadn't even been invented yet.
No.
But anyway, so I got her phone number, and I'm like, okay. And so I called her, and this is how the conversation went. I called her up, ring, ring, and her dad answered the phone. Whoa. I was like,
there weren't cell phones, by the way. You don't have personal numbers
no.
for people. You call their house.
Well,
right?
she did have a cell phone, but she didn't give me her cell phone
wow.
number. She gave me the home phone number. I had a pager
You
at
have
the time.
Amazing.
I know, this is a ridiculous
Amazing.
story. I should just stop this story now. This is
Sorry.
ridiculous.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go on.
No, it's fine. But I'm just like, wow, I had a pager, you know. Oh wow. So anyway, so I called, and her dad answered the phone. I asked for her, and he said sure. And so he got her, and she got on the phone. I was like, hey, this is Joe. Hi. And and I said, hey, so do you wanna go get some coffee sometime? She said, I don't drink coffee. I was like, okay, well, we could go get a burger or something. She's like, I don't eat red meat.
I don't eat burgers. What do you want from me?
I'm like, strike two, man. And I was like, well, maybe. What if we went and saw a movie or something? Oh, I'm seeing somebody. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, why didn't you say that the first question I asked? Why did you torture me through all this nonsense? Like, this is, I don't drink coffee, I don't eat red meat. And then it's like, well, I'm seeing somebody. And so that's when you said this, when you mentioned what you were going through, Amira, I was like, I totally remember this situation, because I totally had a crush on this girl. Like, I came around the corner to the dance studio and I saw the eyes. The eyes. I was mesmerized by the eyes, right? They were like,
This could be a song, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like, oh, it's like love at first sight and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh. So,
She squeezed your
but
hand even.
she squeezed my hand. Yes. And she tied my shoelaces to the table.
It's a pretty sure sign.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so there we are and everything, right? So then, so she's seeing somebody. Okay. Well, never mind then. I guess I'll see you. I'll see you around or whatever. And so I ran into her a few more times, and then the dance. So like, okay, so then like a year goes by, and she ends up getting engaged to this guy, and it's like crazy. And I still see her around the college and everything, and then they asked the dance department came to me specifically and asked me to come do a bunch of shows with them where I was going to be solo percussionist. They wanted me to basically play interludes in between each dance performance, right?
Wow.
It gave them a little bit of time to change, so they didn't have to be like super stressed out, off the side of the stage. And so they had something going on to kind of switch between performances, right? And so it's pretty cool. So I had like solo Joe time on stage, like for a whole bunch of times. It was fun. But anyway, at the end of this one, this was like a year later, right? A year after this whole thing went down. And in the meantime, oh, by the way, in the meantime, during that year, I had just focused. I'm like, okay, nope, I'm done with romance. Because like a year before that, I'd broken up with a really serious girlfriend. And so I was already heartbroken there. And then this whole thing happened here, kind of as I was just healing from that. And I was like, ooh, maybe I can kind of find a new relationship here. And then she totally was seeing somebody else. And so I was like, well, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with relationships. I'm done with all that craziness. And so I'm just going to focus on music. I was in a band at the time. We started playing and recording and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And I was really hitting things in music performance at college too. And then the dance department came around and asked me to do this show. We got to the end of this show and I ran into her in the parking lot and she said, I'm free. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, oh, well, I broke up with my fiance. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I got in my car and I left. And then like, so then she was kind of like seeking me out then. So I turned around, but she didn't call me and ask me out. We just like ran into each other again on campus and, we decided we'd go hang out. And then eventually I ended up marrying her and that's my wife. So those of you who have already heard this story a number of times, I apologize. I tried to put some new spins on it to make it more interesting.
I like that. She squeezed
But
you.
she did. It was amazing.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Of course you would have fallen in love, man.
Yeah.
Somebody else's hand.
Right.
Already taken. What? Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's the thing. Like, okay, so the moral of this story, Amira, for you, and the takeaway here that I would offer is this may not be the end of the story. Just because somebody's dating somebody else, it may not be the end of the story. Just because they might even get engaged. They might even go to that serious level relationship, and it still might not be the end of the story. Now, I'm not going to tell you to hold out and wait, like just be sitting there on the cusp waiting for this relationship to end. Because if you'll notice, what did I do? I felt the same way you felt, Amira, that maybe love doesn't exist. Maybe romantic love doesn't really exist. I see all these people all over the place having this romantic experience and everything. Well, maybe it's just not for me. And I totally shut it off in my life at that point. I shut it off and I threw myself into my art. I threw myself into my performance and into my work. Basically, that was my work at the time, where I was just basically playing music and going to school for music. And so I put my whole focus on there. I was like, nope, I guess that's not for me. And like Mercury said, it was at that point, after I had shut it off and I was just going and living my life and I was just pursuing everything. And we were clicking, man. Our band was clicking. We had a consultant that was helping us to shape our music into a little bit more of a hit friendly format. And there was all kinds of stuff going on. It was crazy. And then all of a sudden she pops back up into my life, right? What do you think happened to my band?
Bummer.
All because of me. Because then I threw myself into the relationship. The relationship progressed and I threw myself into the relationship. And, honestly, I look back on the situation. I'm glad it happened the way it did because we have beautiful children. It's awesome. Like I never would have met these children. Things would have totally been different. But, so it could be that this moment in time for you is like that for me, where it might be time to just get into what you're good at. Get into something that you love doing, something that you love doing, just you. And like Mercury said, when you're not looking for it at all of a sudden just plops into your life and you're like, what the heck? I saw that happen with my brother too. My brother got married and he ended up getting divorced because she was like super bipolar and everything and abusive. And so they ended up getting a divorce. And so he had written off relationships as well. And his thing was being in the woods. So he started a lumberjacking business and he was a forester and everything. So he was just spending all day out in the woods, right? And in these little tiny towns up in the UP of Michigan, way out in the middle of nowhere. And he's just cruising out the woods all the time, man. It's great. And you know what? Then all of a sudden he met this girl at this little general store in the middle of nowhere in the UP. Totally not looking for a relationship. And all of a sudden, poof, there it goes. So Amira, while I understand your pain and I understand the hardship and the heartache that goes on right now, because that's part of the process. It hurt when I ended the serious relationship I had before I met the girl that was going to become my wife. It really hurt when I called. I mustered up the courage to call. She had squeezed my hand.
Love that.
And I mustered up the courage to call. And she was already seeing someone. That really hurt. A lot. And it took some time to get past it. And my art helped. Throwing myself into music, pouring out my emotions into music. I wrote some great songs after that, just because of the emotional outpouring that was happening at the time. And I bet if there's I can't remember if your thing is writing or art or music. I can't remember what your creative outlet is. But if you have a creative outlet, find it, develop it, and pour this emotion into it. And you'll create something beautiful in the process. And then you won't even be thinking about it anymore. So I'm sorry that went on for a long time. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and he's going to say some good stuff.
No, that was great. And yeah, it's really interesting. As I look back on my life, there are so many times where I just no, I give up on romance. And then bam, a romance happens. And I'm like, what is this? and then I get into it, and then it ends horribly or just doesn't really kick off, you know? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm done with it. Like
Yep.
I was done with, like,
It's like I told you that was wrong.
yeah, it's stupid. Stupid. Why would I even like, yeah, no, I'm done with it. And then like as soon as it's gone out of my mind, like and I'm not even thinking about it anymore, bam. What is this? Like all the time, you know, it's like as soon as I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna be myself now. Like I'm just gonna, oh man, I'm free, you know, I don't have to worry about impressing somebody. I can just, oh, this is awesome. And then it's like, you know, all of a sudden something clicks, right? Luckily that hasn't happened, but I noticed that like I apparently am a lot more attractive when I don't find anybody else attractive. Well, romantically, I should say.
It's because you're hard to get, man.
Yeah, apparently. When you don't want anybody, that's when everybody wants you. And that's kind of, it makes sense. It's actually really logical. I mean, we talked about this before, but I don't think we talked about this with you, Amira. When maybe this isn't necessarily exactly on topic, but the point of romance, you know, if you're going to be someone's girlfriend, right, or boyfriend, either side, you're saying ultimately, I'm willing to take some responsibility for this person's life. I said, Amira.
Were you about
No,
to?
no, I wasn't gonna call you Maria. Maria? No, I wasn't gonna call you Maria. I was about to say Mira without putting the A in front. And I was like, nope, step that back just one letter and say it right. So I had to stop myself and say it again rather than calling you Mira. Anyways, you know, if you're going to be in a romance, you're like if you're like, hey, let's be boyfriend, girlfriend, or let's be whatever, you know, you're taking, you're saying basically you're going to take responsibility for that, carrying out your life with that other person, right? Because ultimately the end goal is generally supposed to be marriage. And when you get, you know, in marriage, you unify each other and you live with each other. And now you're responsible. You're a very big part of their life. And you're responsible not for their happiness, but you're partly responsible for their well being. You're partly responsible for the decisions they make throughout the day. You're partly responsible for the food that they eat. You're partly responsible for how much they feel loved. You're responsible for a lot. When when you enter a relationship, really one of the things that you should be asking is one of the more important things is saying, am I responsible enough to make this relationship work? Can this person trust in me to take care of them? Because that's what a relationship is. It's taking care of each other. And so you're responsible for that. You're responsible for taking care of that person. And that's why the person who isn't clingy, the person who is just set in themselves and looks powerful and strong, like they've got everything together, that's why those people are attractive, because those people look like we can count on them. And I think that's why it's kind of like God makes it happen, where finally when you figure yourself out and you're like, yeah, okay, now I can just be me. Then he puts you in another relationship and says, now take that with you. But then we don't. We drop it. We just drop the ball and we're like, yeah, I'm in a relationship now. Now it's all about her, you know, and she's going to make me happy. And I just want to be around her all the time because that's going to make me feel awesome. And yeah. And it's like, no, you got your head on backwards already. You just started the relationship. Remember everything you learned outside of the relationship? No, you don't. You don't remember. All right. That relationship, bam, that's done with. All right. You failed miserably. Now that's a bad memory. All right. Now let's continue. Okay. Get yourself together. All right. All right. Yep. You got things going. All right. Now there's a girl. What do you think? Oh, wow. She's pretty. Man, I just want to be around her all the time. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Cool. All right. Well, I'll hook you guys up. You guys can get together. Cool. And then you're like, you dropped the ball. You know? And then that just like, what? How come these relationships aren't working for me? You know, and it's because I, in my case, in a lot of people's cases, we are not looking at the relationship the right way. And I think that's um, a lot of times what causes us the most pain is because when we look at that person in that relationship, we want them. We want them for ourselves. But that's not romance. That's I mean, that's me wanting something
Mm,
and then me getting something.
mhm.
It's not romance. That's not love. You know? That's just kind of like I mean, I could do that with anything. I could do that with a toy. I could do that with a roller coaster. I could do that with visiting a place. I want to go there and then I go there and I'm excited and I have a lot of fun, you know? But that was for me. I didn't do it for the location. I don't go visit like Japan, right? Like that would be cool to visit Japan. But I don't do it for Japan's sake, do I? I do it for my sake. That's not romance, right? That's not love. I love Japan. I want to go there. No, you don't really love Japan because you're not serving Japan when you go there. You're not making
You would.
Japan a better place. You're not helping their culture. Maybe you're giving them a little money from your tourism, but you go there for yourself.
If you went, Ryan, to Japan, you would make Japan a better place.
Aw, thanks.
If I went to Japan, poor Japan.
I don't think that's true. You would make Japan an even more spectacular place than I would.
I got it.
You know, your heart's in the right place. You
I'd
don't
be
have
like, I don't know any Japanese. I speak Northern Midwestern English.
like a Uber. I know woods and stuff.
I know woods. Yes, I know the woods, eh?
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and hot dish. Dan doesn't know the hot dish is probably.
Probably
That's
not.
really niche. Most of America doesn't know what a hot dish is.
Box and a donut.
A box and a donut. Yes. Yeah, we're married. No, Joe just told you his marriage story. It's not me. But yeah, anyways, ultimately, I find out that a lot of times when I'm experiencing hardship in my relationships, especially romances, or things like, I really like a person. I think, and we talked about this with Jose, a lot of times it's me wanting something. It's not about how much I've been able to give to that person. I feel the pain. Like I've been in that situation where I like a person and they go for another guy, or they even know that I like them, or they reject me, or they dump me, and I've been in all of those scenarios, right? And it hurts every time. But the question I have to ask myself, I guess, is does it hurt for the right reason? Because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it hurts because I wanted something and I didn't get what I wanted. And that pain isn't evil. It doesn't mean I'm wrong, but it is one of those things where it's like, okay, you're sad because you didn't get what you wanted. Just like when you're a kid, you don't get the toy you want. And you ask your mom, "Can I want the toy?" And they're like, "No, I can't buy that for you because you don't have money." It's like, but I want it, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Or, but it's okay. it's okay. That desire, that pain is to show you the desire that you have, and that's a good thing. Yeah. Um, but we get strong and learn how to accept that pain and just say, you know what? Maybe that's there to drive me to work harder. Or maybe it's that there because I was thinking about the relationship in the wrong way. Um, I wasn't meant for that. And because I was devoting a lot of time and energy for that and it didn't work out, I feel like I wasted my time. But the truth is, you don't waste your time because no matter what you spend your time on in life, you can gain many things.
Mm.
Um, a lot of times you find out what not to do. That's true. Um, but through your experiences in life, even if they're painful, you can learn and gain so much and become a stronger person, right? And you can be much better person for other people, so that one day when you do get in a relationship, Amira, you can do everything hopefully right. You're not going to. No one ever does. um, Point of life isn't to be perfect, and things are never going to be perfect, and that's okay. The world wasn't designed perfectly. If it was, if we were meant to be perfect, we would just be perfect, right? Instead, we live in this imperfect world, and that's a beautiful thing. And while we strive for perfection, and it's okay to strive for perfection, we ought not get upset about it. Because one, it's unrealistic to get perfection in this world. But two, we were never designed for that, at least not here on earth. We were designed, when God created the world, he didn't say, I created it and it was perfect. He didn't create the trees and say it was perfect. He didn't create the animals or the fish of the sea and say it was perfect. He said it was good. That's what he said about it. And good is another word for holy. And when he created humans, he created them and he said they were good. And that's good enough. And if it's good enough for God, certainly is good enough for me then. Because I'm not even perfect and he is. Like, but outside of that, because that's religion, and maybe you don't like religion, but the thing is, we want life to be perfect. All of us do. Because then just things are going well, everything's going perfect, so we're happy, and it's great. But the truth of the matter is, happiness doesn't rely on perfection. Everything doesn't have to be going perfectly to be happy. It's just a matter of perspective. A lot of times we just have to decide, is it good enough? Am I satisfied? And we can learn to be satisfied with little. And I'm sure, Amira, you have very much done that a lot in your life. Learn to be satisfied with little. I think, you've definitely gone through a lot of struggles and pains. And this is, relationships. When it comes to having romance or these types of love, um, it's not necessary, right? It's not necessary for our existence. We don't need that in order to live. And we can be perfectly happy individuals without those things. In fact, a lot of times we find ourselves in less pain without them. But that pain helps us to show us value and that they are important. I don't mean to say run away from them. What I'm saying ultimately is it's not something we should let ourselves get worked up over for too long. Sometimes we have to just feel that pain and then move on. And ask ourselves sometimes, why do I feel that pain? And then when we find the answer to that, move on. But anyways, I'm going to give it back to Joe. Hopefully some of that's helpful. And do I need to fix my mic?
It was a little staticky, but it fits your moniker.
Yeah. Do I need to fix it right now? Is it still staticky?
Not right now. It was just a little bit. Maybe
Hmm.
maybe once your interface catches up, it'll be better.
Okay. Should I turn it off and on?
You could turn it off and on again, but don't blue screen yourself.
All right.
It's
I'm
like
gonna do it.
none of these things existed
Mhm.
when I was going through the story I told. But no, Amira, hopefully some of what we said has given you a little bit of perspective. Um, but I do want to say that I understand where you're at. I while I don't understand all of the specific details, I don't feel the specific details of what you're going through right now. Having been through similar stuff, I can understand the pain. I understand the heartbreak and the sorrow. And I want to let you know that I'm really sorry for that because I remember that time and I remember how painful it was. And I remember how lost I felt to some degree, and I remember just kind of feeling like, whoa, like what do I do now? There was that time period of just feeling kind of lost and in pain, and it was a hard time. And it's in those moments, if you're not careful, it's easy to get depressed. It's easy to sink into some self-defeating language. It's easy to start talking bad to yourself and just spiral downward. And what I just want to offer you some encouragement, and I want you to know that even though that you've gone through this experience, it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't mean that you're unlovable, because I love you. I I know we've never met in person, but I've spoken to you and read your words on the chat, and so I get an idea for some of the type of person you are, and you're here with us, and I love that, and I'm so just humbled that you're here and you share with us. And so you're loved. You are loved. And even though it's not romantic, sometimes that's the best kind. Friend love to me is so beautiful because it doesn't have a lot of baggage attached to it. It's just love that's given. And I think you're a beautiful person, Amira. And so with this time that you have where you're going through this struggle, I can't stress enough to find a creative outlet, find something you can work on and find something you can put together and build, because a couple things will happen. One, it'll start to it'll turn down the volume of this emotional turmoil you're feeling. That pain in your heart, it'll dull it a little bit. It'll turn it down some. So it won't hurt so bad because you'll be focused elsewhere. And when you're focused on something else, the pain doesn't hurt as bad. So if you can find something like that, a creative outlet and something to do, The reason I stress creative is because the emotion that you're feeling right now creates beautiful things. That's the most weirdest, There's some great language for you. You would think that, you know, beautiful things would come from people who are just always happy. But a lot of times the most beautiful things come out of the people that are most tormented souls. And they're the ones who create some of the most beautiful pieces of art, pieces of music, pieces of literature, movies, everything. In fact, Robin Williams, one of the of his time, one of the most successful comedians, super hilarious, funny, always smiling, always joking, just a great actor and comedian, right? And super successful. The guy was absolutely depressed a lot of the time. And he was hilarious, and he created some amazing pieces of media, whether it was stand-up comedy or movies or TV. I mean, the guy was all over the place in there, and it hurt. He had a lot of pain in his life, and he pushed and he put it into the screen. He just kind of focused there, and I think it was a coping mechanism for a long time where he was able to just dull the pain on all the stress and everything going on. But if you do that, if you can find something to do where you're creating something, you'll create something amazing, first of all. And you'll also dull the pain. And it'll be something you can be proud of. And you'll begin to validate yourself again. Because right now in this moment, it's easy to think, oh, I'm just worthless. I'm just, I'm not gonna find someone that I can care about and love and have that bond, that special bond with. I'm not gonna ever find that. And it can be a really sad thing. But the more you start to create stuff and the more you start to work on it, the more you will your self-esteem will start to grow a little bit. You'll be like, hey, I did this. You know what? I am worthwhile. I am a worthwhile person. And maybe eventually somebody's going to see that and we're going to have that special romantic bond. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep doing this because it's good and it's beautiful. And yeah, and it turns into just a labor of love. And no matter what's going on, Amira. Oh, Amira said, and eventually committed suicide. Yes, Robin Williams did eventually commit suicide. Or at least that's what it appeared to be. Wasn't it some kind of overdose? Your mic is off now, Ryan.
There we go. I'm not positive what it was.
Still off.
Nope. No.
Oh. Is it just that I can't hear him?
Apparently.
Okay. Well, I can't hear what Ryan's saying, but I'm sure it's good.
Yeah, I think everybody else can. Right. Huh. Weird. Joe, do you have me muted?
No.
Do I need to turn this car around?
Technical difficulty.
All right. I don't know how to make it so you can hear me. But,
watch this.
All right. Oh, did that fix it for you?
That didn't happen. Turn the car up.
It didn't fix it.
Nope.
All right. I'll leave and come back.
Huh. Ah. Well, hey.
All right, can you hear
Yay.
me though?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Weird.
Anyway, yeah,
Um,
weirdness. But
yeah. But
sorry, Ryan, go
anyways,
ahead.
yeah, on him, I don't know how he died, but yeah, I heard that it was suicide. Um, but yeah, I don't know if it was on purpose, of course. But yeah, it's one of those things. Robin Williams' suicide or death or whatever kind of it did shock the world, I think, and in a very large part. Um, but one of the things that I saw now, I'm not one to speculate. You know, he's not. I didn't know him at all.
Mhm,
Um, but I remember looking back on his work and his view of the world. While he did a great job, like Joe was just saying, it's important to have things you can focus on, that you can um, earn, that you can do for the world or do for yourself, right? A lot of the times, most of our problems are solved when we're chasing something that means a lot to us.
mhm,
A lot of times when we have struggles and pains and we just focus down on those, we don't solve them. A lot of times we don't. We can, but most of the time we don't. A lot of times we don't have the strength. Because when you're staring at your problem doesn't give you strength to defeat it. But if you're staring at something else and that problem is in the way, you run that problem over to get what you're going for. And that's how it works a lot of times. And so Joe's advice is important. Um, if you can see, if you can chase after something, Amira, I don't know what things you're passionate about in life. I would recommend thinking about things that you're passionate about, finding something to chase after, hooking up with people who are chasing after something. That was one of the most important things that I ever did in my life. Joe introduced me to a group of people, including himself, who were chasing after a better life, who were chasing after all sorts of different things, whether it be finances or relationships, or family life or faith life, chasing after stuff. And that was one of the most uplifting environments I'd ever been in. And that really helped me to lift myself up and be comfortable chasing after something and having being strengthened by that. Um, excuse me. And so, yeah, Amira, I would say, yeah, think about the things you're passionate about. Write down a list of things that you dream to do, or dream to have. If they're material, that's cool. If they're spiritual, that's cool. If there are places you want to go, that's cool. Write it down and then start focusing on those and trying to achieve those things. If it's, you know, a money thing, start looking for new jobs and being like, you know what? Yeah, I'm making money where I'm at, but it's not enough. So let's see what else I can do. Let's go look for jobs. Let's just keep an open mind. Keep I keep myself on the market looking, and maybe I'll get a better job. Maybe I can get more money. Maybe I can start saving up, and then go do those things I really want to do. Directing your focus on something a lot of times helps, um, because it puts us in a position where we're trying to move forward.
mhm,
You know, when we're looking face to face with our problems, a lot of times the main issue is that we're not in a forward momentum. We're at a halt. We've been stopped by this pain. We've moved forward and we hit the wall, and then we feel that pain of running into the wall and we're just stopped. And we're like, wow, that's a big wall. How do I get over this one? But when you've got momentum from other things moving you forward, again, you just climb the wall. You climb right over it. Or you're like the juggernaut and you walk right through it. You're like, stupid wall, don't get in my way, you know? But that's why it's important to look at things that you can chase. Um, but yeah, as far as what I was going with Robert Williams, again, I don't know his story. I don't know who he was, so I shouldn't really comment much. But
mhm,
looking at his comedy sketches, um, really told me a lot about the way he saw the world.
Mm,
And I think that the way he saw the world did lead him down that path because his perspective of the world was very dark. He was a funny guy, but his perspective seemed really dark to me.
mm,
His humor was very kind of dark. Um, the way that he considered God, apparently he was somewhat religious, but um, he often made fun of God in his comedy. And I thought that was odd. Um, and he saw the world in a very dark way. And I think that if anything, that would be his problem. Um, the issue that he couldn't get over that kept him in that darkness
mm,
was that he saw the world as a dark place. And I think that we need to make sure we don't see the world that way because otherwise we end up in that dark place. I've said it many times before, but how you see the world is how you will feel living in it.
mm,
Period. And that's just a matter of opinion. A lot of times we say opinions are just opinions, so they're not wrong or right because they're not based on fact. But I'll tell you, some opinions are wrong. They just are. They're not good for you.
mm,
They hurt you. They bring you down, you know? You might think like, "Oh, my opinion of that person is I don't like him." And then all you're doing is you're separating yourself from a person that you could actually have a friend in.
mm,
That's not healthy. Some opinions aren't healthy. And when we see that in ourselves, when we see an opinion that isn't healthy, we have to look at it and say, you know what? I'm going to change my opinion about that because that's unhealthy. I've done that many times. I've had to do that, and I've had to do it about the whole issue I just talked about. I used to think the world was a very dark place. You know what? When I was a kid, when I was even in elementary school, I was now this is crazy because most people look back on their elementary days and say, "Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I used to have these big dreams, and say, you can do anything." When I was in elementary school, I was like, I don't buy into that. I look at the world around me and I'm a realist. I know what's up. Dreams are for sissies. Dreams don't even make sense. Nobody gets those dreams done. And I don't believe in them. But you know what? That was wrong. I was wrong. I don't know where I learned that from, but that's not the reality. The reality is that's just a matter of perspective. And my perspective of the world was very dark and meek, bleak, dim. Um, and I didn't believe in chasing after anything. And so I didn't. I didn't believe in chasing after anything. And so literally I didn't. I didn't like teachers were trying to get me to do stuff. And I was like, no, I'm good. They're like, Ryan, you gotta work in class. And I'm like, there's no point. It's like a depressed, like 7-year-old. Like, what is that? You know? I wasn't actually depressed though. That's the thing. I wasn't. I wasn't beating myself up. I didn't feel bad. I was just like, "Pff, I'm just not stupid. I understand reality. And the reality is there's no point. Like, n- you know, but I was wrong. I was very wrong. Um, so I would encourage you to always take a look at your perspective and say, is this a healthy perspective? Is this a healthy opinion? Is this opinion that drives me forward in life and brings me happiness? If it's not, it might be worth taking a second look at. Because I'll tell you what, I am way, 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 way. Even though I wasn't depressed back then, I'm way more happy. I have things to live for. I have enjoyment out of things. When I think the world is dark, it's hard to find enjoyment in things that are even successes.
mm,
Like successes, if I don't believe that there's like a point in chasing dreams and I have a success for some reason, I'm like, whatever. I don't really gain any joy out of it. But I can surround myself now with friends and surround myself with joy joy was something I had to learn. I had to learn how to understand what is joy and make that a part of my life and chase after it. And whenever I experience something, try to remember, oh, I should probably put that emotion joy in this. I should remember to have that. I should remember to be thankful and joyful right now. I had to remind myself to do that because I was in that place where I had given up on those ideas because I thought, those type of things don't, I mean, they're not worth anything, right? But anyhow, all that said, I think a lot of times we have to look back at ourselves and how our opinions are, and start treating the world realistically. And by realistically, I don't mean dark, because dark gets you nothing. When you are in despair, you gain nothing because you hope for nothing and you try for nothing. And when anything good happens, you don't appreciate it like you could because you don't have that joy. And you don't really even, you didn't like, you have nothing after that. You're like, cool, I got it. All right. You're not looking forward to anything. So the opposite is obviously to hope, to have that hope, to look for the future. That's realistic. That's what being real means. So when people tell you like I'm just being realistic or I'm just a realist, and they're actually just really dark, that's not good.
Mhm.
You need to acknowledge that's what it is. It's not realistic. It's just dark, period. And if we want to be realistic, then we have to realize that the way the world works and the way our brains work as human beings, chasing after something, having hope, having joy, desiring happiness, those are the things that actually make our lives better, not being dark. And so be real with yourself and say, I want to be happy. And though that, it might not know what that is, you might not know how to achieve it, you can just be real with yourself. Say, I want to be happy. Let's start finding joy in things. Let's start looking at the world and maybe change our perspective about things and chase after something. Work hard for something because that does bring joy. It brings accomplishment. It brings self-respect to work hard for something. So ultimately, like my point here is what Joe was saying is to work for something is really important.
Mhm.
If you have something you can be creative in, awesome. If you don't necessarily know anything that you can be creative in, but you still have something you can work for, yeah, go for it.
Mhm.
That'll bring you way more joy than a relationship will at this point in time.
Mhm.
Relationships can bring a lot of joy. They really can. They're a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm not putting that down. But I think that if right now you're in a position where you just feel that pain, then turn it over. Just kind of turn over the dish, I guess. I don't know. Turn over the coin and start pursuing something that you can be joyful in, and then let the relationship come when it comes, um, whatever that relationship might be in the future. Because yeah, that's all I got.
Yep. Could be someone you never ever even met yet.
That's very true, and
Mhm.
and almost more likely than not.
Mhm.
You don't even know them yet, but you're gonna fall head over heels for them. They're gonna be amazing.
Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah, it was crazy because I remember how hurt how much how much pain I went through when I ended the long-term relationship before I had met my wife. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so terrible." But then I look back on that and I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
I'm so glad.
Like, wow, that totally opened up my life to what I have now. That ending created the opportunity for the new beginning.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's that doesn't mean it was any easier. Still hurt like the Dickens. Now I really sound old.
You're allowed to sound old.
I'm allowed to sound old because I am.
Yeah, both of us are.
Yeah, you're old, Ryan.
I'm
Yeah.
super old.
Why are you calling me old? You're like way old.
Oh yeah, I'm way old. Like, I mean, you're old, but I'm like way old.
You don't even want to be a duck anymore. You just want duck nuggets.
I might actually be fine with being like a shriveled up old duck.
A shriveled up old duck.
An
Nobody's
old
going to want to
shriveled up
make
duck.
nuggets out of an old
You
shriveled
know,
up
an
duck.
old shriveled up duck nugget. That's
Shriveled
what
up
I am.
nugget.
I'm an old shriveled up duck nugget. Guys, just quote me on that. Throw that in the quotes.
Yeah, throw that
Listen,
on.
though, I am an old shriveled up duck nugget. That's what I'm going to tell people from now on.
Yep.
If anyone compliments me or insults me, I don't care. I'm just going to be like, you know what? The reality is I'm an old shriveled up duck nugget. So that's how it is.
From McDuckins.
Sounds like a traditional Asian. It kind of does, actually.
Old shriveled up duck nugget.
An old shriveled up. It's like here's the like taekwondo nukoyada, and it's like, what is that? Oh, well, the translation is old shriveled up duck nugget. Do I want to eat it? Yeah, it's great, man.
Yes,
It's
you
so
do.
good. It's so good.
Yes.
Do you like fermented rhino noses? People eat that? Like, well, they eat it somewhere. This is an old shriveled up duck nugget. What have I done? Sorry.
Yeah.
We derail so quickly.
Yeah.
It tastes better than it sounds. Yeah. That's like SOS. We're talking about
Yes.
SOS, me and Kyle. I think it was a few weeks ago when he was here.
That's good stuff.
I know. So obviously we can't say what it is. We can call it poop on a shingle.
But it's cream chip beef on toast.
Oh, is that another name for it?
That's what it actually is.
Oh, okay.
It's it's yeah, it's like chip beef, it's like little thin sliced beef, right? In a cream sauce on toast. So it's cream chip beef on toast.
It's really good. It almost tastes like a pot pie.
It's
So
wonderful.
good.
You're making me hungry now.
I'm sorry. Jamaican?
And yes, Static, we know you're tasty.
Thanks, guys. You're the best. I'm just an old shriveled up duck nugget.
Are they any good? I don't know. Do you like rhino noses?
Do you like fermented rhino nose?
Do you like fermented rhino noses?
Nostril? Maybe let's just fermented rhino nostril.
Rhinoceros
nostril?
Rhinoceros nostril. Speaking of real things, actually, I would probably like deep fried butter.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. Who wouldn't?
Exactly.
Right? Probably some people.
Some people probably would say they didn't like it, but they'd be lying.
Yeah, they would definitely be lying. Rhino. Arno noses. My sister-in-law, my brother's wife, sometimes on occasion calls me Rhino. It's her nickname for me.
Yep. Rhino.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Ryan's mom called him Rye Babe.
That's right. Rye Babe.
Rye Babe, Rhino.
Rhino. Don't do that.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, Amira, hopefully some of that was helpful for you. Hopefully we were able to offer you some perspective.
Yeah, I hope so too.
We did talk for a while on it, but I think it was good. I think we
talked about love today.
Yeah.
In total, I mean, it was like not really completely on track the whole time, but we talked about a lot of things. But 2 issues only. But yeah. Well, you know, Amira, you can totally handle this, and I
Mhm.
understand that feeling. Like you
Yeah,
said, it's like two swords being, like thrust into your heart over
yeah,
and like I
it
get it.
hurts. It
It
hurts.
hurts.
Hurts, hurts.
Well, yeah, it hurts, but you're gonna get through this, all right? Because you're strong.
Mhm.
Um, you've got everything it takes to get through it, and you will get through it. And you're gonna come out of the other side with cuts on your heart, and it's not gonna feel good. But guess what? It's better than having a heart of stone. Because here's the thing: sometimes when we go through pain, our heart becomes like stone, where we don't allow anybody in. But sometimes we need to get that stone shattered or cut up a bit to get our hearts tenderized so that they can become soft and open to accepting new things. um it's kind of a odd thing because we put up walls sometimes, but sometimes we go through pain and we just allow that pain to be there, and it shapes our heart to become strong without putting up walls. It makes it so that we can take hardships and turn them into great things all on our own, rather than putting up walls and saying, having a heart of stone where we block everybody out. So I hope that you can do that in this situation, because I know you can. Um, sometimes you just have to be open to the pain and go through it, and then come out on the other side and just be kind and loving to other people, and show what that heart or that pain turns into, in such strength and kindness, um, to others. But Amira, you got this. We love you.
Mhm.
We do. We really do.
Yeah, and don't be a stranger.
Hmm. Yeah, it was nice to see you here.
It was. It's been a while since I've seen your name pop up, and yeah, it's great to have you back.
Hmm. Sorry, I cut you off earlier, though. You don't remember what you were going to say, though, so don't worry about it.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I was saying nothing important, apparently.
See,
Yeah. So that's all that
but
matters.
everything you say is important. I just cut you off from it. Um, I think it was something along the lines of, about the show in general and talking about things.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's this great song I heard just recently.
Oh,
It goes, "Everything you know is wrong.
nice,
Black is white, up is down, and short is long."
nice. Sounds great.
Yes, it's a wonderful song. It's a Weird Al Yankovic song, of
Mm,
course.
Weird Al, he's great.
He is fun to listen to, for sure.
Yeah,
But anyway, we're about to that point in the show, I
yeah.
think.
Pretty late. So let's do it. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Thanks for being here, everybody. We appreciate you guys stopping by and being with us so late. You love Weird Al? Yeah, he's pretty great. I do like him. I like Amish Paradise. That was my favorite song he wrote. It's a good
Amish
one. I really
Paradise is
like
good.
all of his polkas. Those are great.
Yes, the polka your eyes out.
Jeez. Yes.
Yep.
Um.
There's a great song. That song is called "Everything You Know Is Wrong."
hmm,
So look it up. Uh, one of my favorites is the Hardware Store song. Like I think
I
it's
don't
just
think I've
called
heard that one.
Hardware Store.
No, I haven't heard that one.
Oh man, it's great.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you'll have to check it out.
Anyhow, thank you guys for being here. We
Mhm.
appreciate your involvements. Oh my gosh, Derek used to say that all the time. I love him. Um, we were hoping to get him on here one of these Wednesdays, but he was busy, so we couldn't do it. But anyhow, he's doing good still, in case you're wondering. He's doing actually really good. He's doing great. he's moving along in his business, and I'm proud of him.
Good.
But anyways, yeah, thanks you guys for being here. We love you, and we'll see you next Wednesday. I won't though. I'm going to be gone for this next 2 coming weeks. So I will not be here Wednesday or Friday, or then following Wednesday or Friday. So you're gonna have guests of all assortments. Maybe even a Weird Al. No promises. That would be really weird to get in touch with him and get him on a Don't Worry Wednesday in this short.
Yeah.
I don't
It'd
think
be
that's really gonna
interesting to
happen.
see what he said.
But I'm not gonna make any promises against it. You know, it could possibly somehow, oddly enough, happen. It would be interesting to hear like his input on things though, too, right? Wouldn't
Yeah.
it? It
Yeah,
would
it
be
sure
really
would.
fascinating. Man, we need to like just random people. Although that kind of gives the opportunity for some really weird things to be said though,
Yeah.
too. Like,
That could
I
be
don't
that could
really
be a bit.
support that idea, you know. Either way, yeah, okay. But anyways, thanks guys. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Yes. Come on back.
Now you're here.